Tiana's Bayou Adventure just premiered over there at Disneyland after premiering earlier this year at Walt Disney World. However, it looks like things are still changing and even more has come out from the concept art to finishing. Things are still in flux over there. We're trying to figure out what's going on, and let's talk about Tiana's Bayou Adventure here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is theme park guru, Mr. VashSky. How are you growing today, sir?
I am growing just fine. In fact, I might actually hit a theme park later today, so that might be pretty cool. Might be the original Disneyland theme park in Anaheim, California.
Kidding
we'll
me?
see.
I still have not been out to the original Disneyland. I'd like to go. I did do a walkthrough video where I was like, that's a cute little castle there, isn't it? But let's talk about a ride that Disney has replaced with another ride. This one out of Blog Mickey. Imagineering adds Ray and Evangeline stars to Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Magic Kingdom. Look at it right there. One of them is Polaris, and the other one be that Raymond right there. That's a Cajun accent, not anything else. Now, don't you go misunderstanding me now. Walt Disney Imagineering has shared a new addition to Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Magic Kingdom. Since opening, Imagineers have worked to add 2 stars to a scene near the finale of the attraction. The stars are for Ray and Evangeline, the Princess and the Frog movie. Because the attraction takes place after the events of the movie, Ray the Firefly is dead, having been killed by Dr. Facilier, who is dead. Well, or dragged into the other side. Near the end of the Princess and the Frog movie, Ray is reunited with his Evangeline, the star that he thinks is a firefly and falls in love with. That's, first of all, adorable. The idea of a firefly who has fallen in love with the North Star. That is just beautiful storytelling right there. I don't know if that's from the adaptation specifically or if that was Disney's idea, but excellent part, and of course sung by Jim Cummings as Raymond the Firefly in Princess and the Frog, probably written by Randy Newman, who we sometimes reference here on the channel. So this is interesting because, first of all, they're still changing the attraction literally as we speak. Vash, they might have changed something else by the time you get there today.
I guess so. I guess I have to rewrite it in order to see 2 little lights that they've added on what is a pretty blank canvas right there.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, Vash, but the original ride was Splash Mountain, and then they overlaid it with this ride. A little bit of sarcasm. Oh, look, there's a little bit of Splash Mountain right there.
Oh, yes. I hear tell that it was Splash Mountain before. And actually, this specific scene that we just had on screen right here replaced this scene that we see on here. And I like Mondo's little comment right here. They replaced a scene this detailed and alive with 2 fiberglass frogs half the size of my shoe and a screen, and want applause for turning on 2 little lights. I think that's pretty appropriate. As I don't know, as impressive as the company wants to make this look, it's just simply not very impressive to me. I don't know why they couldn't get an effect like this working initially. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Perhaps there's more to this scene that we're not seeing. I don't know.
We have indications that they tried to get this whole thing running a lot quicker than, which is funny because they had years to start working on this. They announced it in, was it 2020 or 2021 that they announced?
2020.
Yeah. And that was in the wake of some interesting activity on a racial level that was going on in the United States. Also, those stars are present in the tiara. Tiana's tiara has the stars as well in the water tower here. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Forgot you had to squint real hard to see him, by the way, which is so weird, Jonas, because you hear Ray singing, it's going to take you down in the actual attraction.
Right. He said, going down the bayou. Sorry, forgive me. I love the soundtrack to Princess and the Frog. I think it's, and this is not something that we say as some kind of racial defense here. Princess and the Frog is a great little film, little masterpiece of 2D animation. The fact that John Lasseter forced them to make it, also using Randy Newman, who is apparently the only songwriter he's ever heard of, over there, also did the soundtrack to Toy Story. But it's a great film, and I think we all would have preferred that Tiana gets her own ride. Another strange thing that's going on here is they just released a Tiana Bayou Adventure toy. There's a limited edition Tiana doll from Tiana's Bayou Adventure that is now available. So this is a story from WDWNT. And looking at this dress, this is not the dress from the ride. And they say here that the doll is inspired by the initial concept art for the attraction, created by Disney's award-winning costume designer Ida Muldrow. It's a beautiful dress. I don't understand why this isn't the dress that they have in the ride. Vash, do you have a picture of that dress?
I sure do. Right here is going to be your picture of this dress provided by ABC News. Very nice.
So it's not a bad dress. It's not the dress in the film, which I can understand why they didn't do that particular dress in the ride, because they want to sell more stuff. But why is it that the concept art to the final changed so much on this ride in particular, Vash?
Well, I think, man, it's really tough to say. I think so the Imagineers had, I think, a certain vision initially that was changed over time, whether it be through budget or be through story or be through the fact that they consulted with people down in New Orleans, historians actually, and showed them and provided them what they had come up with. And as part of these consultants they had hired, they said, well, that's not going to do. You have to change this, that, and the other thing in order to be as authentic as possible. And I think, honestly, that's the biggest downfall of this attraction, because they were trying to hit so many agendas, right? They were like, okay, well, we can't have it be offensive at all. Can't have any stereotypical depictions of African Americans, especially at this time and place. So no voodoo whatsoever. Now you take out your thrill element or your fear element or your conflict that you could have had in this attraction. Right. Okay, got to do away with that. Well, you can't have mountains in the bayou. Okay, so now we have to retheme the exterior of this Splash Mountain to be less mountain-like and more bayou-like, and not this forced perspective design that the Imagineers so lovingly crafted back in the 1980s and 1990s. Well, now we have to upend all of that to make it look as small as possible.
Right. You're being very kind, and I'm going to get more specific just for the sake of the argument here.
Sure.
So they removed the villain of Princess and the Frog, Dr. Facilier, who is an integral part of what's great about the soundtrack of Princess and the Frog. And they don't do Friends on the Other Side, even though they have the rights to that song. They could still do Friends on the Other Side, except that song is definitely about voodoo. They also take, what's her name? Mama Odie, and they take her from being a voodoo priestess, which she is in the film, and she probably does hoodoo as well. I don't know. I'm not a master on voodoo and hoodoo or anything like that, but she's definitely a person who has the voodoo in the film, and they turn her into a Bayou fairy godmother, which is very strange. And they have this strange plot line about, well, we need to make you small so that blah, 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 blah. And then we need to make you big so that you make a big splash at the party. The storyline of this seems to go back and forth. And then, of course, the fact that they don't have mountains in the bayou, they do have a salt dome down there, which ended up tying this to much more tragic things in the pre-bellum South. Now, it is a pretty little dress that she's got on here, and I can see how they might match up here. I don't know why they didn't go with that version of the dress, but here it is. This is also something that would have been in the works for a very long time, because when working with this designer for this, and this is like $150 doll. So I'm not going to say that's my cup of tea here. If I'm spending $150 on something, it needs to be a video game. Who wants to waste time on dolls when you could spend it on sports tickets or something? I don't know. People can spend their money on whatever they want. I don't care. There's also been a change at Disneyland that kind of shows that this entire process hasn't been very organized from the start. And it's not even a Tiana's Bayou Adventure change. It's actually a Haunted Mansion change that was made out there that tells me they really haven't thought through what they're doing. We haven't really covered this on the channel, and maybe we will on a live show talking about this. I'm trying to line up somebody who has an excellent history in covering Imagineering in order to do a bigger deep dive on this. But Vash, I'm putting your screen up here. They now have a carriage house next to Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And there's a lot of reasons why this doesn't work. But Vash, do you want to explain a few reasons why this affects Splash Mountain?
It affects Splash Mountain or Tiana's Bayou Adventure profoundly because the scale is completely off. So there are some forced perspective techniques that the Imagineers did implement with Tiana's Bayou Adventure in order to provide a certain scale to the whole thing. And now this carriage house, which we are believing wasn't really led by Imagineering, or thinking that it was actually led by Consumer Products or the merchandising and retail divisions within this segment of the company right here. Because the design aesthetic is just horrendous. Not only does it take away from Haunted Mansion, but it also very much detracts and distracts from Tiana's Bayou Adventure, their newest ride for 2024 here. So it's absolutely bizarre, the creative decisions that they've implemented with this specific carriage house, if you want to call it that. People have noted that if you're looking at the Antebellum South and you're, looking at a plantation house in which the Disneyland version of Haunted Mansion attempts to represent, I don't think that would be a carriage house necessarily. Also, too, the story for this is that the carriage that you see in front of the Haunted Mansion, this is where it's stored, even though it's just outside of the Haunted Mansion and never stored inside of here. Again, it's all...
yeah, I'm going to bet that door is probably too small in order to get that carriage in there as well. So this is something, and this affects the entire area. And you kind of said this, but I'll again rephrase what you're saying here. Every building at Disneyland, when Walt built it, was built with forced perspective in mind.
Yes.
So for them to build what looks to be a rectangular box here with a jutted roof, this is too large to be next to, first of all, the Haunted Mansion. It's supposed to be themed to the Haunted Mansion, but it's smack dab right there in between the Haunted Mansion and also Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The Splash Mountain, when it was built, did not have this in the way. And we're going to talk about this hopefully in a more detailed video here. But essentially, they've also limited some of the look of how large Splash Mountain or Tiana's Bayou Adventure is because of putting this right there. It makes everything else around it look small because it's too big for the space. Also doesn't quite make sense from a flow perspective. Hey, here's a tweet from Theme Park Casual. Like that guy. Sorry, but no, I was hoping there would be some additional dressing, but if they don't have it ready for the media event, I'm guessing it's not coming. Way bigger than the concept art showed. They can make concept art very close to final product and vice versa. And Casual would know about concept art versus final.
Absolutely. And you can see it. I love this photo too, because this is the main walkway in which you would view Tiana's Bayou Adventure from if you were coming up on it. And literally, the carriage house completely covers it. It's completely in the way.
That's a very good point.
Right? All you see is the water tower in the background. You cannot see Tiana's Bayou Adventure. You can't see
it's just peeking up over the edge there. And it already looks too large for the space anyhow. And do they have the sign up in this one? The sign is barely visible. Anyways, again, we can rant about this, and we probably should talk about it in another video here. But Vash, I'm getting the idea that they just kind of slapped some things together for that Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Yeah. Oh, they did. Oh, absolutely, they did. This was for whatever reason, this was a project that I think when they initially announced it back in 2020. I think there was definitely some interesting stuff going on in the country that set the backdrop for this specific announcement. I think people were excited, especially when given the initial concept art that we were provided for this whole project. But for some reason, the company was like, well, we're somewhat committed to providing Tiana her own attraction, but really what we want to do is just replace Splash Mountain. And that, I think, is how they approached this entire project. And so when you see the actual results, which that was a little small, when you see the actual results, what you're seeing on screen right here, it just does reflect this idea that they weren't really committed to it,
Right.
or as committed to it as they probably should have been, given that this attraction is going to be with us for 30, 40, 50 years. It's just really, really, it's what do you want to say? It's just disappointing.
It was value engineered into the state that it's in. So the concept
Right.
art and the final product, they never seem to match up with the Walt Disney Company, because the concept art is blue sky, and who knows that concept art, like has happened with the Lion King retheme. Or is it, no, they're building a Splash Mountain from scratch over there at Disneyland Paris, aren't they? And they're making a Lion King version over there, right? So
Yes.
this one, I can't help but notice there's not a big boat in a tree on top of this one. We've heard that they wanted to minimize the look of the height here, which I don't understand, but that also solves the reason why you don't need to build a really cool looking boat that's glowing with fireflies. I believe that's Mama Odie's boat in the original film here.
Right.
There's just so much here that Disney will announce something, and here it is, and these also struggle to function at either park. The virtual, I don't know if they're off virtual queue yet at Walt Disney World. I think they're still on virtual queue at Disneyland at this point. These rides break down frequently. It's becoming, Disney is no longer the first name in quality when it comes to theme parks, and we understand that things could change from designed to final. That happens here, but it's just becoming so frequent that I don't think this company really thinks through what they're doing more than a couple of quarters at a time, which is also evident by the fact that Tropical America's Land looks like no changes there until maybe 2026 or 2027. One thing that's good, guys, dinosaurs sounds like that's not going away until after 2025 is over. So maybe we'll get to see that one by the time Epic Universe gets around to announcing its first expansion. With that being said, not trying to be too negative here. What do you think is next for Tiana's Bayou adventure? Will they, in fact, be adding that boat in a tree? Maybe they're just getting around to finishing this thing, and we haven't heard about that yet. Who knows? Like this video, of course, if you found it informative in any way. And of course, consider subscribing to That Park Plays for all the news that should be phone.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.